Last summer, a man named Ethan was driving home from a friend's house. It was well past midnight. All around him was nothing but darkness and endless cornfields, swaying under the moonlight. The road was completely empty. No cars, no houses, no lights. And then he heard it. At first, it was barely audible, like someone whispering. Ethan thought it was the radio. He turned the volume down, but the sound didn't stop. The whisper was coming from outside. He slowed the car. The whisper grew louder. They weren't words. They were fragments of sound, as if someone was trying to speak in a language he didn't understand. His heart began to race. Ethan glanced at his phone. The screen was black. No signal. No battery, even though it had been working just a minute earlier. And then he saw it, between the rows of corn, just beyond the reach of the headlights. Something was moving. A dark figure, bent, with unnaturally long limbs. It wasn't walking. It was dragging itself along the ground. Ethan slammed on the gas. The whisper turned into a scream. When he finally drove past the fields, everything went silent. He looked into the rearview mirror. Behind him was only darkness. No figure. No movement. Since that night, Ethan has never driven down that road again. And when people ask him about what happened, he quietly replies, "It felt like the corn was calling to me." Emily was spending the summer at her grandparents' house in the countryside. Their backyard bordered a massive cornfield that stretched for miles. One evening, she and her friend Tyler decided to walk along the edge of the field. The sun had almost set. The air was warm and still, and then they heard it, a crunch. Behind them, Emily assumed Tyler had stepped on a dry branch, but Tyler was standing completely still. They both turned around. A few feet behind them, pressed into the dirt, were footprints, two clear impressions of feet. But there were no tracks leading up to them. It was as if something had simply appeared and taken its first step. Tyler bent down for a closer look. The prints were too long, too narrow. They weren't human. And what was worse, the next impressions were larger, as if whatever was walking was growing with each step, and it was moving toward them. Emily screamed. They ran toward the house. The next morning, they gathered the courage to return, but the footprints were gone. The ground was smooth, undisturbed, as if nothing had ever happened. Later, Emily's grandmother said quietly, "The field doesn't just grow, it watches." Four friends decided to walk through a cornfield to argue. They had heard stories about people getting lost there, but they didn't take it seriously. At first it was fun, laughter, jokes, flashlights. But when the sun went down, everything changed. The stalks became walls. The sky disappeared. Even the wind died down. They tried to walk straight, but somehow they kept coming back to the same place. It was as if the field was shifting. And suddenly, one of them, Dorian, disappeared. Just disappeared. Without a scream, without a noise. They called out to him, but the only answer was silence. And then a sound, slow, heavy, as if something big was breaking the stalks. And they felt it, the look, from all sides. One of the boys saw a figure between the rows. It stood still. Its face was dark. Its body was unnaturally long, and it was smiling. The boy ran. He didn't know how he got out. At dawn, he found himself on the road, alone. The police looked for others, but all they found were crushed stalks, leading deeper into the field and breaking off. The cornfields look peaceful, quiet, safe. But at night, maybe there's something more hidden among those stalks.